Is it better? Guys, let me know. I really need to know if it's better. No sound, Shoniro is still saying. Oh God. I've increased the volume. Okay, it's better. Well, some people are saying no sound. Okay. I'm going to assume that the sound, you can hear me because, hello, Alexander. I can hear you. I hope you can hear me. Okay, it's better now. Okay, thank you very much. So, guys, so the last few days, it's been amazing, okay? But this is not the reason why we're on today. We're on to interview Dr. Success. Who's angry? Somebody's angry at with the angry emoji. Don't be angry. It's a lovely day. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. The person with the angry emoji. Please don't be angry. Chill out, all right? Okay. Calm down. It's only Monday. Yes, we had a really good time the last few days, and I'm sure that we'll have a good interview. Of a review of the last few days. We have been doing something every evening. We fellowship with you. Dr. Sunday fellowship with us every evening because we have lots of guests in the house. So we sit together and we talk about our day and review the day, which is good. But maybe we'll do a formal one. I don't know yet. But Dr. Sunday will decide, I suppose, or the team may decide. So thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. So today we're going to interview Dr. Success Fakolade, I believe. Fakolade. So I got it right. Yes, we're going to interview him now. We're asking questions. If you've got questions for him, please feel free to send your question. You know already, Dr. Sunday already introduced him. And in honor of Dr. Sunday, he wrote a book. And he will tell us about the book and tell us about himself. So I'm going to turn my camera to him so you can say hi to him. And let's begin. Yay! I just feel like saying yay. Okay. Oh, Dr. Success.
Hello, everybody. Okay. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon in Kyiv. So I hope it's a great time to have your hand. We've had a beautiful time this past weekend celebrating Dr. Sunday Adelaja. And well, I think the mood is still very much around. We're still celebrating him. Such a great life. Thank you so much, Mario, for having me on the platform.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Success. It's a pleasure to have you on this platform. And also, Dr. Sunday also insists that I interview the great Dr. Success for what he's done. It's a real great honor. He appreciates what you've done for him for his Golden Jubilee. So I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself first. So then let us dive straight into the book. Let's get to know you. I think many people out there probably don't know you very well. I know him and I know what he does on Facebook especially, but in his own words, I would like him to tell us who he is and, you know, anything else you want to tell us. First of all, let's start with Dr. Success.
Thank you. My name is Success Olayemi Fakolade. I'm a Nigerian and I schooled in Ukraine. I graduated medical school I wrote my final exams just last week.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much. And well, I've got different passion. I've got different interests apart from medicine. And one thing about me is that I love to pursue all of what God has placed upon my heart. So I do a lot of writing, I do a lot of speaking, I do a lot of training for people and all of that. So basically that is what, and of course I'm a mentee to Dr. Sunday Adelaja. I met him in 2014. That was when I met him. I met him before that time through his books and messages, but I met him in person precisely April 2014, and I've been here with him ever since then.
Wow.
So.
Wow. What an interesting person already. He said quite a lot in this short time. So you like writing. You didn't just say you didn't say you're an author, but obviously because you've written this book,
Yes.
I'm going to class you now as an author. You like writing. You said you train. You train people.
Yeah.
which is an interesting thing. I want you to tell us all about that.
Okay.
And one thing that Dr. Success just said now that I think is really, really key is that he does everything that God has put in his heart. He's not just a doctor. He's just graduated. He just finished his final exams and just graduated recently. But it's really key for me that he says he does everything that God puts in his heart. And he mentioned a few. So let's address them one by one. I think we do the author last.
Okay.
Let's start in reverse because we can do the author and then do the book at the end of it. So tell us about the things that God has put in your heart that you just spoke about one by one.
Well, I'm one person that is extremely, extremely passionate about leadership. I study leadership. In fact, all of my life I've been studying leadership. And when I meet leaders, I'm always attracted at every point in time. My life, it's oppression. It's one person cheating another, all of that. So I think that was basically what began speaking for me. I began to speak just to encourage people to stand up for who they are, to stand up for themselves, and not to be intimidated by anybody, no matter who they are in the society. So basically, that was what began it for me. I began to speak, and interestingly, it seems a lot of people enjoy what I was talking about, what I was saying, and I began to get more and more invitations everywhere to speak. So basically, I did some training on leadership also. So I train people on leadership, basically organizational leadership, self-leadership, all forms of leadership, just to help people, be the best and for them to be who they are called to be in life. So that is my passion concerning that, concerning speaking, concerning training. I do all forms of training, like I said, all forms of training for people. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. said something right there.
Yeah.
You said something about oppression.
Yeah.
I really want to hear a little bit more about that because you're talking really fast. We've got time, okay? And I think your story is really interesting. I think that we should share it with people because a lot of people, there'll be people out there that can benefit from your life and your story.
Yeah.
So let's just take it,
One step back.
yeah, bit by, the big elephant. Let's eat it in pieces. So oppression. That's really a big word for me. Not just because of the vocabulary. Obviously not, guys. I'm learning, but I know what oppression means. But really, because it's something that we don't. It's something that we all don't really look at. We don't talk about. So I want you to talk about the oppression.
Okay. First of all,
sorry, guys.
just had an issue.
It's a technical fault.
Technical.
Okay. Right. Okay, let's go.
It's on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, very, very big one, very deep one. Sometimes ago, let me begin with the fact that the first time I met with Pastor Sunday, it was one of the things he pointed my attention to. He talked about very vividly. I remember very clearly he telling me specifically at the point, saying that success, you need to stop thinking like a slave. I shared that a couple of times. I've been on Pastor's platform, discussed extensively on that. I think I've got a full YouTube video interview with Pastor, discussing all through the different phases of my life and things I had to endure growing up, So it's a big one for me, very, very big one. Oppression, is what many people are going through and why they are not able to achieve what God has placed on their heart to do. Either it is as a child to parents, or maybe a husband to wife to husband, or, it could be in the society, citizens to leaders and all kinds of oppressions that we have in the world today. So I'm deeply, deeply against any form of slavery, against any form of oppression, against any form of cheating, against any form of injustice, and this is basically what I stand for. Every time that everywhere oppression stands, leadership is absent. People will not be able to be themselves. For example, now if I'm intimidating you in an environment, you will not be able to become who God has called you to become. Or when you have this environment where you can try, where you can grow, where you can express, you are free. The Bible says that, where the Spirit of God is, there's liberty. So there should always be liberty for people to become who they want to become, to be who God has called them to be, to do what God has called them to do, and to be able to stand up for whatever thing they want to stand up for. So everybody should have a strong name, standing up, doing what God has called them to do, and not be intimidated by anyone or by anything in this world. I think that helps. Was that helpful?
Really helpful. But what I really would like is, help some of us or someone out there to understand exactly. Saying oppression is good. You mentioned a few parts in leadership, in an environment, but can you give examples of real oppression that maybe people don't even know that it's oppression?
So just to be more specific.
Yes.
Well, begins in the family. Really, begins in the family. For example, I think I was discussing with a friend this morning, and I was saying that if you are called as a parent, or if you are a parent, you have the opportunity of being a parent, then you have to understand that it is an opportunity that God gave to you to be a model to your child, and it is not for you to reconstruct or to remodel them. It's like everyone is like a seed, and that was basically what I went through, growing up. Like I said before, I have a whole YouTube interview with Pastor, talking about how that affected my self-esteem growing up. A lot of things that I had to endure and all that, because I was in an environment that was trying to reconstruct me. It wasn't encouraging me to grow, just to evolve. For example, let's say you are as a child. I was a child who loved to talk. I had a lot of talking going on inside of me, but I wasn't in an environment where I was rather to be seen and not heard. So I wanted to say a lot of things, but I couldn't say them. My environment shut me down. I don't know if so basically I had to overcome that. I had to overcome that intimidation to become who I am today, the talking person, just to express, who I am. That is like in the family, in the society, a lot of oppression going on. Every time there is intimidation, every time that you want to do something good and you are not able to do it because of what somebody will say or what somebody else is thinking or what somebody else is, that is slavery, that oppression right there.
I know this is an interview about the heroes and this book, but I'm really finding this very interesting because there are lots of people out there that they think that, coming from a family context is the most loving context. And you're saying to us right now that this is where this oppression starts. This is where it's more prominent. So I'm glad that it's your example and it's not your life now anymore, but I just want tangible example of what parents, because you mentioned parents, what parents could be doing to oppress their children.
Okay.
Because you spoke generally that you want to, you can't be free in the environment, but I want to be specific on what happens, what is stopping you from being free. What is said by the parents and what you're doing that is causing the parents to say what they're saying. Am I clear?
I think if I understand very well, a lot of things that parents do to basically shut down the destiny of their children. A lot of things. I will give a few examples. For example, I think wherever there is verbal abuse is a very, very strong one. Again and again, I think I've said it, and also in the interview with Pastor, over time I've always emphasized the need that there are certain words that a kid must not hear in his life, because if he hears them, he probably is going to have to deal with it for the rest of his life. So there are words, begins with verbal abuse, of course, body language and all that, all kinds of things that people go through in life, they have to deal with, that constantly shut them down. So let's say, for example, I'm in the family, and there are things I want to do, and I can't do them. Good, positive things, just because of fear. just because of negligence, but neglect, just because of neglect, just because of verbal abuse, just because of what would they say, what would they think, all those kind of things like that. It robs us of our destiny, So words is a way by which parents shut down the destiny of their own children. Words, wrong words, verbal abuse, neglect is a very, very major one. When we have to deal, so many children, especially in Africa, growing up, we have to deal with a lot of neglect, you don't even know whether you are loved in your own family. You are not even sure, all those kind of things like that. So those are the things that eventually shut one down. So for example, when I stepped out of family context and I came into the society, I already had to deal with a lot of self-esteem issues. I wasn't so, I wasn't so sure of myself. For example, let's say I want to stand up in the community of people where people are. I'm still thinking, what will everybody be thinking about me? What if they don't approve of me? All of those what ifs and all that. So it took God, it took a lot of mentoring from Pastor Sunday for me to be able to stand up for myself, for me to be able to look. Really, nobody, perhaps people are not even thinking about you. You think the whole world is thinking about you. Nobody even has, and even if they are thinking about you, what does it matter? What does it matter how you talk or how you dress or how all those kind of things like that. So I really bless God that I was able to come out of it. I was able to come out, and that is why I stand up for people any day, anyway. I stand up for. I believe that either it is in the family, either it's individual, either it's in the nation, either it's in the church. If, of course, you follow me on Facebook, you know that David, I talk a lot about some of these issues. Whether it's in the church, nobody should be oppressed. You should be allowed to do what God has placed in your heart to do. Nobody should be telling you what to do. You should be able to stand up for yourself. You should be able to build positive self-esteem and go out there and rule the world.
Thank you, Dr. Success. If I get this correctly, you're saying that in the family context, the parents, you talked about neglect, you talked about words that they use, and those words, you didn't actually mention any specific type of words or, in the context which those words are used, because obviously we use words, we have to use words to communicate, but in what context are those words used, and context, situation, and also what words are they? Because we have to communicate with words. So I want to know that first. And then we talk about the church as well.
With words, we communicate. With words, we can build up. Also, with words, we can destroy people. For example, in the family, let's say, let's say my wife is my mom, and she asks me to bring a cup of water. And then perhaps when I'm bringing the cup of water, let's say the cup slips from my hand and drops. There are different ways you could deal with that. But one of the words you could say for me is like, you are no good. You are not, you destroy everything. A cup dropped from my hand, but you are telling me that I destroy everything. Like I'm a no good. That I can never be a man to more. All those kind of things like that. These things are very, very, extremely common in African homes. Extremely. And unfortunately, many times they don't even know. This is what oftentimes destroys our self-confidence when we have to compete with children from other parts of the world. So such words, you are no good, you are not good, you are not good enough, you can't be successful, you can't achieve much, you are not like the kid from the other compound, or all kinds of things, comparisons, So I think when situations happen, especially in the home, when there are circumstances and things like that, there is need, like Pastor Sunday has taught us again and again, the need to show love. When a cup drops from my hand, for example, a part of me already regrets that. I'm already sorry about that situation. It's not like I'm going to be crazy for me to have dropped the cup intentionally. So let's say it slips from my hand. I'm already expecting maybe some form of rebuke or something. Or let's say instead of that, let's say you affirm me. Let's say you talk to that side of me that is already doubting myself. Let's say you tell me that, oh, you did this, but that is not who you are. You can be better. This is how you can do it. This is how you can, I know some of these things seems, but over time, having watched very closely our Pastor Sunday this with his children, I think these things are very, very possible. And this is how, and this is how he has dealt with me personally as a son to him, because he has given me a lot of assignments over time. Many times, of course, I didn't do well on them. And while I was expecting him maybe to scold me or to, if it takes me going back to that same assignment 10 times he's going to walk me through that assignment again and again. Be patient with me every single time. This is what you need to correct. This is how it can be better. Scolding me at the end of the day doesn't help anything. I'm still confused about how to go about it. What you have created in me would have been fear when you scold me like that, and I'm thinking, oh, so the next time I'm bringing a cup of water to you, I remember those words, and I'm trembling. My hands are basically trembling, bringing you a cup of water. And eventually that may fall again. And when it falls again, the second time, it falls again the third time, then I really think I'll begin to affirm, or I'll begin to think that maybe what mom said or what dad said is really, really correct. Maybe I'm really not good. So that's really what I think. In the family, we need to be gentle with each other. We need to affirm each other, especially with children growing up, such that when they are moving out of the family, they can be very, very confident about life. And they can, I've met, over time growing up and being in different phases of my life, I've met with some children that they are not necessarily smart, but the measure of confidence they came out of the family with was what they were ruling the world with. For example, I was extremely brilliant in school. As a matter of fact, when I wrote my senior level exams in Nigeria, I had 8 distinctions and 1 credit, 1 C4. I was really good. But that alone was not enough for me. When I still came to community of children, of other children and all that, I would rather sit at the back than even sit in the middle, not to even talk of going to the front. Because I doubted myself, So bringing up the result wasn't good enough. The words, all of the weight of the words and everything, they had already blocked my mind. And yet there were some kids who, they don't need all the all the distinctions and all that. But because they've been told that they are very good, these ones, they are the ones that command. They are the ones that gather everybody around and say, hey, you come here, hey, you come here. This is what you do, this is what you do. It's in spite of the fact that you're a distinction student, all of that wouldn't matter later in the market of life. That confidence is...
the family. Guys, please, I'm going to ask you to share this again, please. Only a few people have shared. Please, 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 share. So, Dr. Success, I'm so pleased with what you're saying, because, again, the home is where we think that's where the love is. That your family loves you unconditionally, your family are great, but we don't think about things like this. And you mentioned Africa and the use of words negatively. And you gave a very good description. This is where I was trying to get to right from the beginning, to give a tangible, a real description in context of what situation. And the one with the cup and, dropping the cup and then that being a situation, that happens a lot. And I'm really grateful for what you said, that, why we're already scolding you and rebuking you in such a way would not even teach you how to hold the cup in such a way that you wouldn't sleep or even affirm your confidence or anything. So, and parents, we do it. They do it. Parents do this a lot, where subconsciously. I'm also glad that you mentioned that they don't, they're not really thinking, being subconscious about it. So it's not that they're trying to destroy you, but not trying to do something doesn't mean that you're not doing it. So I'm really grateful for this. And before we move on, what I really like is that if you can also help in ways that, because it's always good to talk about a problem, but it's also good to have a solution in hand. And so somebody that's experienced this, what solutions do you have, or can you kind of give so that people can benefit in the future? And, if somebody is out there that is struggling with this, they can learn from, please.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for this. There was a time ago I read an article. It's called Daddy Forgets. I think if you can go on Google and type in Daddy Forgets, you can check out. It's a very, very powerful article that I think a lot of parents, in fact, I think people should read before they become parents. Daddy Forgets. Daddy Forget basically was saying that, think the child had done something during the day, and the father had scolded him a lot. They had rebuked, they had done a lot of wrong things. And then in the night, he came into the room of the child and, practically was writing to the child that, I'm sorry about this afternoon. I only forgot that I was once a child. Because what you did this afternoon, I remember that I've done them over and over again. So a lot of times I think parents only forget. They forget that they were once kids. They forget that there's a face for life. There's always a face for everything in life, and they've been through this phase too. So you didn't just wake up one day to start laying your bed all perfectly, to start, cleaning yourself up well. You didn't just wake up to start taking responsibility. It took you time. And if you always remember that, then you always give your own children the room to grow, So what I advise as a solution, one thing that can really help a lot of parents is to always remember that they were once children, and to always remember that it took them steps to get to where they are today, So if they will let children be children, let them grow, and let them grow through every phase of life. Let them evolve. The family environment, for me, the way I've always seen it is that it should be like that, good soil, with nutrients that allows the seed, whatever seed that is planted inside of it, to grow. So your children, or the children, are like the seed, but the family environment, the kind of words we speak to them, the way we react to situations and issues is like creating that soil. So if, for example, the family is very confrontational, very demanding, it's so much, a lot of pressure, children are not allowed to grow. They are not allowed to be who God has called them to be. They are intimidated by other people outside. So the best way, I think, for parents to deal with this critical issue is to please always remember that you were once a child too. Always remember that you had to grow. Always remember that even now, you are still not the best that you could be, even as a parent. You are also growing, and we should allow every child to grow in the family. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes. To success. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that answers the question really well. You said that parents should always remember that they were once children.
Yeah.
You also gave a book, you recommended a book, Daddy Forgets. Check that book out if you can, but also,
it's
guys...
like an article.
Okay, it's an article.
Yes.
Okay. Where can people get that
They
from?
can check it out on Google. It's a DSA. So you can check it out on Google and read it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Daddy Forgets. But also, guys, I just want to remind you that Dr. Sunday also have a series on parenting.
Yes.
So you need to check that out as well, because the information in there will really, really benefit you. So Dr. Sunday's YouTube channel is Sunday Adelaja Official, Sunday Adelaja Official on the playlist. The playlist is right in the middle of his channel. Just click on playlist and then choose the series that you like to listen to. But there is one on parenting, and I listen to that already, and I really benefit from it. I don't have children yet, but I know that when I do, that will really help me in raising children. Okay, Dr. Success. One thing I also you gave example. You gave an example, and you've also said that parents should remember that they were once kids. But remembering that you're once kids is really not going to give you a practical way to help your child or a practical way for you not to do the things that really would damage the child alone. You need to know what to do. Remembering, I can think about my childhood, but how is that going to help me? Even most people as well, they don't really know how they were as a child. They don't see themselves as a child. They just think, okay, I was a child. So what do you really want us to think about that would really help? Like practical ways. I know, you're not a parenting expert, but from your experience and the knowledge that you have now, I think you could probably have something useful for people out there, for myself as well.
Why I actually said parents need to remember that they were once kids is this. is the fact that, majorly I think two things. First is the fact that, one, when you remember that you were once a child, like I said before, it helps you to be patient with people, to your own kids, with your own children. It helps you to not be too demanding, not lay too much pressure. These children already have some concerns, which of course is the second one I want to talk about, is the fact that, like for example.
Just to let you know that any one of you want, Pastor Bosa is meeting with people here. I just fellowshipping.
You know, so like parents, sorry, Pastor Sunday was talking with us there. So the second reason is because children especially always have this concern that were you always the way you were you always as organized, were you always as careful, were you always, you know, and they are thinking, will I ever be like daddy, will I ever be like mommy, will I ever get to be this, you know. As a child, I could not imagine that there would be some people who wouldn't love to play outside, play in the sun, play, you know, like it's. I was always wondering, were they always have they always been like that? Have they always, you know, been this organized person? Have they always been this truthful? Have they always been? But when we remember, you know, who we are as children, we learn to be patient. We learn to help a child. So you help a child to understand that, look, I've not always been disorganized. I'm going to be honest with you. I've not always been disorganized. I've not always been this truthful. I've not always been this, you know. So those are like practical. I don't know if I'm bringing out the essence.
Yes, you are actually.
Yeah. So it's to bring out that essence, to be patient. So I learned to be patient because I understand that, look, I've not always been like this, but I can help you through all of the stages of growth. So while you're, like, for example, when you broke, okay, let's say, for example, if you told me to bring a cup of water and I broke the cup, and you tell me, oh, I've also been clumsy. It's just like a phase. Or no, this was just an event. It's not who you are. You are not the clumsy. That you broke a cup doesn't mean that you're clumsy. This is what happened. You are the careful person. You can be the careful person. You can become better. You know, you can grow through it. So rather than, I don't know if that makes some meaning.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Dr. Success, this is really, really amazing. And guys, thank you so much for you that are sharing. I appreciate you. And there's some thumbs up and love for you, Dr. Success. So I just let you know. There's a lot, what you said there, really, that's the key that I was looking for. The key of, you know, you saying that parents should remember when they were once young or when they were kids. Now there's a link to why they need to remember and what they need to remember in that, which is that they need to know the right words to replace the negative words. So you gave examples of, you know, with the example of the cup, dropping the cup of water, a parent saying that, oh, don't worry, child, be careful, you know, just be careful with yourself, and taking care of the child's mental need first, which is, you know, don't worry, this has happened to me before. I used to be, even if you want to say clumsy, I used to be clumsy, then look at me now. Because as children, we look up to our parents. We think that they're perfect. They know everything. They're super people. And then you're there as a child. You're nothing. You don't know how to do anything well. And affirming those positive words like, okay, this has happened before. You know, you're not going to fall all the time. You know, your cup is not going to fall all the time. This is just this time, you know, and if it does again, we'll get another cup. Or, you know, the important thing is to make sure that you're healthy, and, you know, you don't step on the broken glass or something like that. Those kind of information are what this should be exchanged at that point in time, not negative words that you've been stupid, you've been silly, and all, you know. Thank you so much. That's really key. Okay. We've talked a lot about this part. I didn't know we were going to be talking about parenting and this experience, but I know that our time is fast approaching, and I know, you know, we need to actually talk about the main topic where we come in here. I think maybe we might have to interview Dr. Success another time just to talk generally about life and his experience again. But he's also said already that he's done an interview with Dr. Sunday, so that will be on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official. Please check it out. I don't know what the title would be on that, but was it an HMT event?
No, it was a private an HMT. I think there's something on self-esteem or thereabout. I can't remember the topic, but it's on YouTube.
Okay. It's on one of Dr. Sunday's broadcasts, so check it out. It's on self-esteem. Just go on YouTube. You know, YouTube is your friend. Like I always say, YouTube is your friend. So go on YouTube and check out the series, the various series that Dr. Sunday have done, and you will find something that will benefit you, even if it's not this one specifically. But there will be information, there will be teachings that would help you to develop yourself in all area, all sphere of life. So please check it out. Let's go to this book that you've written. I'm really excited about the book. I haven't read the book yet, but I just want you to tell us a little bit about the book. First, we'll start with the title, and then we move on.
So, here's the book.
Yay! It says, leave the book up.
All right.
It says, Heroes, people who change the world with their message.
Yes.
Heroes. And it's got Dr. Sunday's picture in it, and it's also got 50 as well.
Yes.
So I'm not going to talk much in this case. I will let you talk.
All right. So I wrote this book because of a few reasons. And one of the reasons is because if you know Dr. Sunday Adelaja, and if you have come across this unique man, you understand that we have such men very, very rare. You know, Dr. Sunday is a legend. He's a living legend. I'm not saying this because I'm his mentee. You need to encounter him for you to understand the weight of what I'm talking about. You know, such men, they don't just come in. God gives such men as gifts to generations. You know, and one thing through my study, through my research, is the fact that when such men live on this earth, usually people do not appreciate them. They are usually gone before people know, you know. Let's go just a bit in history and take one of the men I featured is Martin Luther King Jr. It was when he died at the age of 39 that people felt, oh, he was a genius. He was, you know, he had gone before people actually. What did they do while he was on there? They criticized him, you know, they didn't love on him. Nobody would love him. You know, he was the troublemaker, that kind of thing, you know. That was how they saw him, you know. So I decided to write this book, one, because I understand Dr. Sunday Adelaja to be a legend, to be a hero, and I wouldn't let him go before I let him know that I appreciate him, that I know who he is, and that I love him. That is the first reason. The second reason is because very, very, very critically, we are in a special time in history in the world right now. And it wouldn't, you just need to be a student of history to understand that. I do a lot of reading, though I studied medicine, but, you know, history is my friend, philosophy is my friend, all of these things I studied them. So you need to understand that we are in a peculiar time in history again. In fact, many of the things that are happening in the world right now, they are things that have happened before, and they are just happening again, you know. And some of the things that Dr. Sunday Adelaja is doing right now in the world, they are things that some unique men in history have done before. And I didn't even need to study too hard for that to become apparent. So I decided to bring out and to compare the works of Dr. Sunday Adelaja with some of these unique men in history, some of these specific and some of those unique times in history, you know, things that are happening now and things that are happened then, and how some of these men responded, you know, to those situations. So let me give you an illustration, an example. Is the fact that one of the men I featured in this book is called Martin Luther. You know, Martin Luther lived in the 14th century, and he was one man who stood up against, I wouldn't want to use the word Catholicism as a word so that I don't get controversial, but he stood up against many errors in the church. You know, that was the time when the priests were selling purgatory, basically. They were telling people that if you have a dead relative, you can buy a soul from hell. So all you need to do is bring money. And people were actually paying the priests some money, you know, to buy the souls of their relatives from hell. The priests were telling the people, we have the power to forgive sins, so bring some money, and then we'll forgive your sin. Confess to us, we'll forgive. You know, so many things like that. And Martin Luther was the first man in history, you know, to stand up against many of these things and speak to the power that be, that you are wrong. This is not what the Bible said. The Bible says that salvation is in faith alone, you know, and that was he began to enlighten the people. Of course, they tried to kill him many times. They hated him. And if you look at it very critically today, that is what Dr. Sunday Adelaja is doing. He's standing up against the evil, the error in the church. He's enlightening the minds of people. These are another specific time. So many other things like that I can point to. Of course, if you get a book, you'll be able to encounter some of those times. So that was the second reason. So many things are happening that happened before happening again. And there's a concept like that in history, where after a long time, maybe about 1,000 years or 2,000 years, something that has happened before. I'm not talking about this is not maybe deja vu or some of those experiences, no, but like something that has happened, specifically something that has happened in history before. There's a way the world goes back to its own history and things repeat itself. So that is basically what is happening right now. So I wanted to show the world, I wanted people to understand that, look, we are in the midst of a revolution, even if you have not realized it. Dr. Sunday Adelaja is leading a revolution right now. The revolution has begun, and I don't want you to miss out of it. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to understand what is going on. So if you read this book, you understand that, look, these things have happened before. This was how the world dealt with it. This was the response. This was the man who led this kind of movement, and these are the results. So right now, again, these things are happening in this time in history, and we want to be the people in this movement. We want to be the people who will champion the change in the world. We want to be the leader of the new world and things like that. So, and then I think another reason was because I also wanted to institutionalize Dr. Sunday's wide area of knowledge. He's a very, very knowledgeable man. He's got an answer to virtually every topic. Pick up anything with him, he's on it. If you're talking history, he talks history like he's historian. He's a philosopher, he's an inventor, he's so many things like that. So I also wanted to institutionalize, and this book that I wrote is just one out of many to come, of many series of programs, because I want the world to understand his ideas, his concept. I want to be able to show the world what this man knows, and to be able to help a lot of people in that process. Because if you have understanding of philosophy, you understand, certain issues. If you understand invention, you understand certain issues. If you understand medicine or the human body and all those kind of things like that, life is no mystery. Basically, that is one of the most important things that Dr. Sunday has taught us again and again. Life is no mystery. If we understand all of these concepts, either it's on finance, either it's on marriage, either it's on nation building, whatever thing it is. So that's my job, my task, to institutionalize all of this knowledge and to be able to bring them into formats for people to understand. So that was motivation, part of my motivation for the book.
Wow. Wow.
And of course, because it's the 50th birthday, and 50 year comes once in a lifetime, so I needed to do that.
Thank you, Dr. Success. That's just amazing. I mean, the accounts that you've given now really got me thinking, because a lot of us say these things that we want to appreciate people before they die, and not when they're dead. Then that's when you come in and start saying this person is great, this person is wonderful. But you've put it in a different way, actually, in a different context for me to even understand it in a way that will resonate. And I think also the viewers as well would see that this resonates more, where you've said, you've given an example of greats in the past, that they were not even appreciated when they were alive. And if you compare Dr. Sunday's lives and his teaching now, and how his life and his experience now is similar to that, where people don't appreciate it now. People don't see what he's doing. They don't understand that we're making history, that he's a history maker, right now. I mean, it's not because of HMT, but he's a history maker because of his level of understanding of the kingdom of God, the level of understanding of people, the array of knowledge that he has in all sphere of life, as you've mentioned. And just saying those greats, you mentioned a few, and how they were not appreciated, and they now we're talking about them, but they're already gone. But you chose that you don't want it to be like that with Dr. Sunday. You don't, and not only that, you've written this book, Heroes, that you have subsequent projects and programs that you've got planned to actually make him known, his teachings known, because Dr. Sunday is not really keen on himself. It's more about the lessons, the teachings, the understanding of God and the kingdom. So there's two things that I want to ask you, really. I want to ask you about what is it really, you said about the driving force. Those are the driving force. What is, other than those driving force, how did you see, how were you able to kind of grasp this from what you gave the reasons, but what are the things about Dr. Sunday himself that you saw that drove you to the writing this, other than the world not being able to see? But what is it about him as a person that you saw that many people are not seeing? You know, so if you can share that with us.
Very much. You know, I personally, very honestly, and without mincing words, not just because I'm on this platform, but it's something I say everywhere. It's a big privilege for me to be able to learn personally from Dr. Sunday Adelaja. I really can't it as. In fact, sometimes I'm trying to scratch myself that is this really happening? Because something extraordinary is happening. Dr. Sunday Adelaja is an extraordinary man. If you have been close to him, you understand what I'm saying. In every dimension, you can look at his work ethic and you just be blown off. You can look at his life. You can look at the way he loves some people. You can look at everything for you. You know, you're just living with him every day. You have so many wow moments. You're just thinking, wow. And before that, you recover from that, some other things are happening again. You know, so such a big privilege for me to be able to study him, to be able to learn from him, to be able to listen to his stories. You know, I'm privileged to be able to ask him a lot of questions and get answers to them. I'm able to look at the way he relates with his family, with his wife, with his children. I'm able to look at the way he relates with people around him and all those things like that. And all these things, maybe they are not things that people around the world are able to see every day. Maybe it's a privilege for me that I have because I'm with him, I'm this close with him, able to understand him and all of that. So I want to bring many of these personal moments to the world. I want them to be able to understand. I want them to be able to know that though he's a man, but with an extraordinary work ethic. I want people to be able to see that. I want people to be able to see how he loves people. I want to be able to, many of those moments like that. And very, very specifically also to be able to compare that with some of the heroes that had gone before. I don't know if you understand. So this is it now. We have a man, a living legend, who is still living, who is still alive, who is still breathing. We have him around. We can ask him questions. We can relate with his messages. We can take him on. We can, visit him. We can improve our own lives just by watching him and all that. Such that it is not when he is gone. By the grace of God, we pray to stay having for many, many more years, But for all that is perhaps needed now, for Dr. Sunday's name to be all over the world and everybody shouting and singing, it's perhaps maybe, okay, let's say, for example, when he's gone, that is when you see the whole world shouting and screaming and say, oh, this great man, this is what he did. But while he's alive, history has a way of relating with our own heroes, with negligence, with I don't care, who is he, and all that. But immediately they are gone, they become celebrated. They become the no-name everywhere. I don't know if when someone like Mother Teresa, one of the people I featured in this book, died in 1997, the whole world went. And the unfortunate thing was that when Mother Teresa, even though she was known for caring for people, taking care of people, you wouldn't believe that while she was alive, our own people didn't even like her. There were always a lot of criticisms. There were people always saying, "Oh, she's getting a lot of money to help people, but she's not helping them." They are saying, "How could she put lepers in the, all kinds of things that people." But immediately she died, she became a saint. I don't know if you get that.
I do.
So I want to be able to compare some of those things. Look, we have a living legend. All of the characters that we find in Martin Luther King is what we find in Pastor Sunday right now. All of the characters that we find in people like, Desmond Tutu, people like David Livingstone. We have all of these characters right in the midst of us. It's just like the Bible said, because a man was saying that, and it was Jacob that was saying that God was there, and I didn't even know that he was there. So we have all of these opportunities right now, this level region right now, to be able to make the world, because Dr. Sunday is leading a movement, either we like it or not. A revolution is being bettered. And we just want to be able to be in the midst, to key into it, and not to have missed it. So that it is not when he is gone that we say, oh, so a legend passed, and we don't just want to deal with his memory, we want to deal with his presence.
Brilliant. The success. So, that's a good account of the reasons what you saw in Dr. Sunday. How would you advise other people that don't know him, or they're just getting to know him, to get closer to him, to celebrate him now? Yeah. My next question would be what you've got planned. If you can share any of them with us, some of them might be private, you don't have to, but if you can share them with us. But this question that I want to ask you now is that for people that are watching out there, that they're not close to him and they don't know him, or they're feeling like, okay, I can see, I feel the same way, because like Martin Luther, you said that they didn't celebrate him, but I'm sure that he has close people like you that are close with Dr. Sunday, they're also close with him. So how can others that are listening to you, that they want to take the steps that you've taken, maybe not write a book, but get closer to him and not celebrate him after he's gone, get to know him, learn from him, and develop? What would you advise? What would your advice be to those people?
People that have not known Dr. Sunday till now, or maybe they have a wrong perception of him, or whatever thing, I think they still do, because those of us that have known him, perhaps we have not appreciated what we have, or two, we have not taken the time to explain to them. So basically what I'm saying is that for more people to get to understand this, when I'm saying Dr. Sunday, I'm not talking about Dr. Sunday as a person. I'm talking about his personality. I'm talking about what constitutes him. I'm talking about his love for God, his love for people. I'm talking about his generosity. I'm talking about his faith. I'm talking about his work ethic. I'm talking about his products, his inventions. I'm talking about his ideas, his strategies, his systems, and all these kind of things. So those are the things I'm not talking about, just maybe a name. I don't know if you get it. It's just like, for example, if we are talking about, let's say, Nike or Adidas. Nike, Adidas, they are just names, but there's something, there's a product behind it. I don't know if I'm communicating. Yeah. So when I'm saying Dr. Sunday Adelaja, I'm not just talking about the name. I'm not saying, we are glorifying a man or worshiping a man or something, but I'm talking about the personality, the things that make him up. I'm talking about all of those, and these are things that the world needs right now. These are things that I wrote in the book that Pastor Sunday is one of this world best kept secrets. It's like a gold mine, So it is our responsibility, when we have discovered something precious, to go back and explain to other people that, look, come drink from this fountain. I found something that can help. So, for example, let's say you have friends who have maybe issues on marriages, and you know what Dr. Sunday has taught on marriage. You know how this is going to help a lot of people. Then I think it is our fault if we have people around us who are still going through struggles, one struggle or the other, and they are still going through that struggle because we haven't helped them with materials that they need. So what would it cost you to get a book for somebody? What would it cost you to send a message to somebody? What would it cost you to have a discussion with somebody? What would it cost you? This is like marketing a brand, kind of. I don't know if maybe I'm looking at it from the business side angle too. But it's like, how do you market a brand to other people? The goal of everything is to market, bring it to more people. Let them understand, look, you don't have to go through financial hardships. When books like Money Won't Make You Rich, I was reading what somebody wrote about Money Won't Make You Rich online the other day, and I was, totally blown off. But things like that, it's real. It's these things are working. Let me say, for example, again, it's like let me use medicine as an example now. Let's say we have a cure. Okay, let's say this now. We have a cure to cancer today. So what would it cost us to produce a lot of these drugs for more cancer patients? I think that's like the question, So what marketing do we need to do? How do we manufacture more? How do we do many more of these things to bring it? Because the need is that we need to bring all of these resources and materials to as many people that need them. So I think the challenge is on me, is on every one of us to bring all of this material in every way that you can. I'm writing, I do a lot of writing, a lot of thinking and things like that. There are some other people that maybe theirs is the dramatic art, the performing art, painting art, There are some that there's people be singing, There are some that whatever that we have to bring this message of the kingdom, which Dr. Sunday Adelaja is heralding. We have to bring it to the world. Everybody has to know about it. We have to tell more people. We have to market more. We have to discuss more. We have to engage more people. I don't know if.
Yes, I think. The good thing is that this is just such a great time with you, interviewing you, because when I was asking that question, I was thinking on a different level that we would give people specific, come over, do this, do that. But you turned it around, and I really like that, because that shows how we're all different in the world, and also different people out there will relate more with what you're saying and how you reason on how to engage with Dr. Sunday and celebrate him now. And what Dr. Success is saying really interests me, and I think I'm going to take a leaf out of your advice as well, in terms of understanding Dr. Sunday's teachings and sharing those teachings with other people. You learning from those teachings as well, reading his books. You mentioned Money Will Make You Rich. They read a comment about Money Will Make You Rich, and now the comment was interesting to you. So you spoke about branding, which I wasn't even thinking at the level of branding at all. In order to celebrate somebody, I wasn't thinking about branding and other things that needs to be done. You talked about writing. We haven't actually talked about you writing, how you write, but I think we're going to need a whole day for Dr. Success, because Dr. Success has got such detailed information, knowledge, wisdom, accounts that he can give us. But our time is fast approaching. There's so many other people to interview. As you know, guys, we have so many guests here in the house. We're in Dr. Sunday's house. We actually did this interview outdoors. So there's wind and everything. Nature is with us right here. And there are other people that I need to interview. So, Dr. Success, I just wanted to end this for us with your words. What book, teachings of Dr. Sunday's have really made an impact in your life, or maybe even not an impact, but you would like to brand and share with other people as something that maybe they need to read or listen to, if it's audio or a teaching?
That's like very tough for me to, because one thing about Dr. Sunday is that, like I said before, every word, every action, everything just makes this massive impact. And while you're still trying to recover from one, he has done something else. So we live like in a galaxy kind of way. So, but if you remember, I remember specifically the things that drew me to him. Is love for people. That is like palpable. That is like, very, very transformational. I've said it again and saying it again, that first hug that Dr. Sunday gave to me is one that I will never forget in my life, really, because it broke down a wall inside of me. But if we have to talk about his teachings, I remember teachings like, life is predictable, that you can create your own world. Nothing in this life is mysterious. Nothing. Even till yesterday, I was still explaining the concepts and the principles behind creating miracles. That is very, very phenomenal. That yesterday night blew my mind that, wow. So this is really true. So like life is predictable. You can create your future. You can, his teachings in every sense of it. In every sense of it. It helped me walk through medical school without stress. While I was in school, I was into everything. I was beyond the medical school world. I was just into everything, and I never had any stress, any struggle. Came out very brilliantly from medical school. Had a lot of ideas about life concepts. I had my vision for life very accurate and all that. All of this, I really want to appreciate God and Dr. Sunday Adelaja. And I really, this is why I'm saying that this is like for me, It is like there is a brand. This is why I say it. I look at it from the business perspective. There is a brand. His ideas, his concept, his his philosophies is for me a brand, and this is what I'm committing to market this to the world, to let the world understand, because I am absolutely so sure that this is going to help a lot of people, billions and billions of people, even the next, especially apart from his own generation, my own generation that is coming by. I want to be able to stand for. So these are the things that I'm absolutely committed to, and like also one of the things that we'll be doing as an offshoot of this is that I noticed that, of course, if you read Pastor Sunday's story again and again, one of the things he emphasizes is the fact that somebody paid for the exam fee. He was able to write his exam, because somebody paid for it. And if he had not been able to write that, if somebody didn't pay for that exam, he would probably still be a farmer in the village today. And I also remember that while I was in Nigeria a couple of years back, I had this organization I was working with where we do medical missions and all that. And then this particular time we went to a rural village like that to offer medical outreach, free drugs, treatment and all that. And I met a young lady there. Maybe she was about 12, 13 years or 14. Very, very bright girl, clear thinking. She was extremely, extremely brilliant. And I kept asking for my dad, how did you get to this place? And it so happened that our parents relocated for one reason or the other to that village. But she was extremely brilliant. In the midst of that, but the environment was not encouraging her. She was like a very brilliant mind, trapped in that. I have most part of my life to growing up, I was like that. I have read some books, interesting, about the future, about life, but the environment was not what. Every time I just kept crying that, oh God, help me get out of this situation. So by the grace of God, having learned from Dr. Sunday and been motivated, every money that comes from the sale of this book will be used for those such children. Wow. To get them materials, to get them books like this. I'm not getting them textbooks. I'm not getting them school books. I'm getting them books about life. Books that can help them to dream. Books that can, make them understand that life is predictable. By the grace of God, I'm privileged to also edit some of Pastor's work, to transform some of these things into, things that people want to fall in love to. They want to learn more, So if many of these books, like Life is Predictable, many of these things like that, we can get them into the hands of every rural kid in Africa so that they can keep dreaming. They can know that environment is not because you are in Africa or because you are in Europe. We can create, the environment where every kid is allowed to thrive right there in Africa with no lights, but those kids can keep dreaming. They can keep, inventing. They can keep walking their way out of such situations until we create the kind of environment.
Wow. I'm really grateful for the time with you today. I thank you so much. Dr. Success have opened my eyes to so many things about parenting, about being a child, about growing up in environments that are not conducive to the gifts that God has given you, about understanding love in people, about relationship with Dr. Sunday and how it's helped him, about even the past history and the future, history and the greats of our time that we don't appreciate, about appreciating people. So there's still a few things that I really want to ask you about. I know that time is fast approaching, as I have said. Guys, Dr. Success, one thing I want you to do is I want you to tell people about your Facebook, what your Facebook details are, so that they can get in touch with you. I want you to put that book up again so that they can have a look at the book. And also, I want you to tell us how many chapters are in this book, how many pages, and maybe you can just tell us the title of each chapter so that they can see something for people to look forward to.
Okay, thank you so much. So the title again is HEROS. People changed the world with their message. So it's a collection of people who, people in Dr. Sunday Adelaja's kind of era, who went beyond the pulpit. They did extraordinary things with their own message. They transformed the world with their life and with their message. So there are 10 chapters of the book and one epilogue. So for chapter 1, we have Dr. Sunday Adelaja himself. That is the whole chapter written about him, discussing him. Chapter 2 is talking about Martin Luther King Jr., talking about his life and, who he was. Very interesting person. By the time he died at the age of 39, an autopsy was carried out on his heart, and they discovered that he had the heart of a 60-year-old. Yeah, he was just 39, but he had lived his life far beyond 60. So, Martin Luther King, chapter 3, we have David Livingstone, the man who transformed Africa. He was sent as a missionary, but he went beyond being a missionary to open up the whole of Africa. And what Africa is today is many times thanks to David Livingstone in every area, education, and all that. We have chapter 4, Mother Teresa, often called Saint of God, the woman who loved the world. She transformed the world with her love. Chapter 5, we have Francis Akambidi. This is one man that not many people know about. He was also ordained as a priest, but eventually became an Eastern governor in Nigeria. He took this back of in Nigeria, transformed the entire, he was a preacher, a politician, he was a philosopher, he was an educator, he was just everything, yet he was a preacher. Chapter 6, we have Mary Slessor, a very popular name, an unusual woman, who did extraordinary things. Chapter 7, we have Martin Luther. Martin Luther, we all are who we are. Many thanks to Martin Luther today, the first man that translated the Bible. I liken Dr. Sunday Adelaja a lot to Martin Luther because he's betting a revolution. He was the one that led us out of religious slavery, basically. He was the one that translated the Bible from Latin into German language and then into other languages as we have them today. So, very exceptional man, Martin Luther. Chapter 8, we have a man called Washington Gladden. He's also another unsung hero, one that not many people know about. But he was the one that brought about this concept that we have a gospel that should be relevant to every facet of the society. Either it is that, for example, you are a Christian, but we can't separate the fact that you're a Christian from the fact that you have a family life. We can't separate the fact that you're a Christian from the fact that you belong to the society, the community. Neither can we separate it from the fact that you are a business person, So we need to be able to bring all of these things together and let it influence everything that you do as an individual. So chapter 9, we have Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu is a Nobel Prize winner. The man who stood up against, though he was a preacher, he stood up against apartheid in South Africa. He stood up for the rights of the people. They also hated him. They castigated him. At the point, they even put him under house arrest, because you're a preacher. How can you, be speaking against the government? How can you? Very, very exceptional man, Desmond Tutu. Chapter 10, we have the recently passed away Dr. Miles Monroe. Very exceptional man who brought also, very clearly the message of the kingdom to us, communicated it very effectively, just as Dr. Sunday. And the epilogue, we have a man called Abba Schweitzer. Abba Schweitzer is also a Nobel Prize winner. I was also a missionary, but a Nobel Prize winner because he stood up against maybe the rise of atomic bombs, very close friend to Albert Einstein, and did a very, very exceptional work in Africa. He built a clinic called the Clinic of Labarre. I think it's currently Gabon. Very, very exceptional man who gathered lepers, lived among lepers, who cleanse them, who would work with them, treat them. Built exceptional clinic in the heart of Africa, and at the same time was fighting for world peace, traveling around the world, giving talks, speeches, doing everything. All of these people, one thing about them is that they give everything for the world. They give all of themselves. These were not your Sunday preachers. These were men who gave themselves to the world, heart and soul. Some of them were killed, some of them died the natural death. But in everything, all of their heart was just given to people, loving on people, and transforming the world with a message. So those are the chapters in the book. Each of them compares. You find out that from the title I said heroes, people change the world with their message. I didn't say with their messages, with their message, because each of them had a message. It was about using the faith, the Christian faith, to transform the world. Because at every point in time, Christ will always be relevant to the world, and they communicated that in every way they could to make the world a better. They changed the world. Many of what we have in the world today, the peace, if you have a peace in any part or anything, you can always trace it to men like this. National transformation, in different countries, like Dr. Sunday Adelaja has done here in Ukraine, like Martin Luther King did in the United States, like Desmond Tutu did in South Africa. We have all of these men to thank for all that we have in the world.
Success. You've done it. You've done a great job. Thank you so much. But before we go, there's still two things. You haven't told us where to purchase this, when it would be available, and in what formats they will be available, and also your Facebook page. We need to know.
Let me start with my pages. Olayemi Success, Fakolade. That's my name on Facebook. So just add me up, and we'll always connect. This book is already out in hard copy. It's already in print. So as many people that can get in touch, $10. Please, the $10 again is for those beautiful children in Africa. This for me is like giving it here as a gift to you for supporting our work among those kids in Africa. We are going to get them transformational books that can help their mind. So please, hard copy is $10. And I was supposed to upload it on Amazon yesterday, but we were so busy throughout in church. We came back extremely late, which I've not been able to do. But it's going to be on Amazon, and immediately it's done, I think it will be on my Facebook, and I will let you know so that we can also put it.
Give us a time. When would you do?
All right. I definitely want to do that today, but if not today, then tomorrow it will be there.
Okay. Guys, there we have it. You've heard Dr. Success, the author of Heroes, Men Who Change, no, people, not men, people who change the world with their message. No, people who change the world with their message, by Dr. Success or Fakolade. So the title of the book is Heroes. You might not be able to see it in my camera, but here it is, so you know what it looks like. This book was dedicated to Dr. Sunday for his Golden Jubilee, which we just finished in the last 3 days. Yeah, 3 days of celebration. But the celebration continues because we're still got people in the house, and I'm going to still continue to interview people throughout this week. I believe I will be doing that, bringing different people to you. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you for joining. I love you for joining. I love you anyway, you know, because I'm thought to love. So I love you anyway. But thank you so much for taking your time this afternoon to join us. I'm going to come back again today. I am sure of that. I'm sure that Dr. Sunday will come back because he's going to fellowship with us at some point. Please prepare yourself to learn, to develop, as we all are around here in Kyiv, Ukraine. So I'm signing out, Mayowa. Please join us when you get the notification. Thank you, Chinwe. I can see your beautiful thumbs up. Thank you so much. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And Dr. Success, thank you. I want you to say the final words. I don't want to be the one that says the final words. So what would your final words be with that question?
Much everybody for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We can only hope that together we'll bring this message of God's kingdom to every living person in the world. We want the world to feel our impact. So let's go on winning. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.